Hello! So today I got asked to create a video or a short video on modular level design. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the term modular level design, that's where you take a series of items and make them so that they all snap together, and eventually you can make just a giant area all with a bunch of individual pieces that snap together. Um, Normally, you'll have something that looks like this. This is from Skyrim, but you can see all the different pieces that they use to create some of their areas. Uh, and this is what's known as modular pieces. You can easily mix and match them so long as you have your measurements correct, and they'll just all snap together. So, pretty much every video game uses modular assets. We've got right here. We've got a scene from Assassin's Creed where somebody has highlighted where this texture was used in the screenshot. But you can also see that they've repeated the use of certain pieces all throughout the level. This is all done with predetermined sizes and pivot points and all that, and we'll get into that in a second. But modular pieces is something that you pretty much have to learn if you want to make large scale video games. Otherwise, you're just going to be making everything new for each asset, and that would take forever. Forever, ever, and ever, and ever, and ever. But anyways, we're ignoring that right now. I'm just going to be teaching the basics. So, like, you have your 3D program. Pretty much the technique is the same for all video games, for all 3D softwares. So first, you have to determine what scale you're working at. Right now, I'm just gonna go with basic 100 scale. It's not actually import ready scale, but it's just easier to work with that number wise. After you figure out your scale, you have to figure out your grid size. So UE4, UE3 was 16 units for grid snapping. I don't remember what UE4 is. I think they changed it to meters or centimeters or something like that. I'll have to look that up again. So you have to figure out. So you have to know what your grid sizes would be for your snapping. In Max, I know you can set the grid size by going up to your thingy and right click. I forget what you right clicked on, but you can set the grid size. I'd have to see it to do it, but I don't know how to change the grid size in Blender yet. I haven't actually looked that up. So after you figure out your scale and grid size, you need to determine the sizes of your pieces. Today I'm just going to be working with a 100 and a 50 sized pieces, because those are just easy to calculate. And I might as well toss in a 25 as well. And then we shall make them... we'll just make them 100 tall, I guess. And then, so we've got our basic sizes, 150, 25, so 1, half, and a quarter. And so now that we know that, we have to actually figure out how this is going to work in the program. You want to have your pivot point set for every single object. So for each object here, you you kind of need to decide where your pivot point is for snapping wise is going to be. Personally, I prefer to have it on the, I guess you could call it the bottom front left corner. Technically, you could make it whichever corner you want it to be, but it's a little bit easier when working with the bottom front corner. So, like right here, or right here. Technically, the pivot point snap will change depending on your object. So, maybe I should draw this out. Oh. Okay, so like, if you want to make a corner of the room, you're going to need to decide where your pivot points are. So like, this is wall 1, and this is the same wall, just rotated. And then we've got a floor. And then let's say we've got a decorational piece right here. So that will make that like number 3. So you would probably have your pivot point right here or in this back corner. So when you rotate it, it'll rotate from that point. If you have your pivot point right there on the corner, you can always snap to that spot. So let's set these to 100. But I only want the front face, so let's get rid of these, get rid of that, and we'll set that at 0. Right now our pivot point is in the middle. We don't want that, so let's put it at, what is it, -50? Oops. Definitely not. Oh, I'm on local, so 0.5. No? Okay, what did I do wrong? There we go. 50 and 50. There we go. Now we've got our pivot point there. So, whenever we want to rotate it, it's always going to rotate from that point exactly. So, if we duplicate it and rotate it 90 on the X? No. Z axis, it perfectly snaps to that corner. And if you have your sizes set to your grid, so like if your grid is in tens, and I can speak. Blah 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 blah. So Shift D, G, Y, yes, 100. It'll automatically snap to that corner because it's exactly 100 units wide. Making sense so far? Okay. So that is really the basics of modular modeling. after that, it's really getting to know what pieces you need, what shapes of pieces you need, I should say. And if it's all snaps to the same thing, then you're pretty much good. So I guess I'll just do a couple example pieces. So we've got our second wall, so let's go ahead and rotate 90 Y. We've got a floor now. And then say we only want a half a wall, so Shift D and then G, Y, 100, but we don't want a full wall, so let's make that 50. Rotate Z -90. And as you can see, I'm starting to build a shape with things that just snap together. And so let's say we want to Shift D again, right click. Remember, I have my right and left click swapped. G, X, I want to say -50? No. 50. There we go. And then let's rotate Y 90, no, Z 90. And then say we want a little quarter piece from here, so Shift D, and then we want to G, Y, let's see here, my math is all messed up now. $250, no, 250. And then let's make this one only 25. Oops. 25. Shift D, enter. 275. Rotate Z 90. Rotate Z -90. There we go. And that's how you start building things out at different sizes with modular pieces. And then Shift D, Y 100. Oops. I forgot to hit G, Y 100. And then Shift D, Y, or G, Y 100. Whoops. Here we go. And as you can see, it's starting to form into a different shape. And that's the basics of modular modeling. You would possibly want to make a custom piece here with just a half of a floor, depending on if you have characters that are going to walk on the other side of this wall. If not, you can leave it just a solid piece. So it's simple, easy. You just gotta remember to do your math right. So first off, know your scale. Second off, know your grid size. Third, determine the sizes of your actual pieces, and then always make sure you know where your pivot point is. And that's the last thing you should set, probably, after you finish modeling, is make sure your pivot point is in the correct location. Because if it's not going to snap well, and it can be a pain, because you got to go back and redo it. So, yeah, that's the basics of modular modeling. I hope you enjoyed it. Have fun and all that. Bye!